Why did these mighty civilizations disappear? The answers will shock you. Before we dive in, please hit that like and subscribe button as you stick with me to uncover 5 powerful African kingdoms almost forgotten by history. First, the Kingdom of Kush, Nubia, the empire that conquered Egypt. You've heard of ancient Egypt, but did you know that for nearly 100 years, Egypt was ruled by a kingdom from the south? The Kingdom of Kush wasn't just powerful, it defeated Egypt at its peak. Their rulers, the Black Pharaohs, built more pyramids than Egypt itself. So why don't we talk about them more? Kush's military was legendary. They mastered archery and iron weapons, making them unstoppable. Their capital, Meroe, was a hub of iron production, fueling their expansion. But when Egypt tried to reclaim power, Kush didn't just resist, they launched a counter-invasion and ruled Egypt as the 25th dynasty. Yet modern history sidelines them as a lesser civilization. Why? Because acknowledging their dominance challenges the myth of African inferiority. Why did Kush disappear? Kush's decline began with environmental changes. The Sahara's expansion disrupted trade routes. Then came the rise of Axum, a rival kingdom that cut off Kush's access to Red Sea trade. But the final blow came from within. Over-reliance on iron production depleted their forests, leading to economic collapse. By the 4th century AD, Kush faded into history, erased first by nature, then by historians who downplayed its glory. Next, the Mali Empire. Wealth beyond imagination. Imagine a king so rich his generosity crashed the economy of an entire region. That was Mansa Musa, ruler of Mali, whose wealth in today's money would make Jeff Bezos look broke. But here's the mystery. How did such a powerful empire vanish from global memory? Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 was so extravagant, he flooded the Middle East with so much gold that it devalued the metal for years. Mali's city of Timbuktu became the Harvard of the medieval world, with scholars from Europe and Asia flocking to its libraries. Yet European maps later labeled the region as the land of savages. What were they trying to hide? Here's the truth. Mali was a beacon of knowledge and wealth that Europe couldn't rival at the time. Why did Mali disappear? Mali's downfall came from internal strife and external pressure. After Mansa Musa's death, weak rulers squandered the empire's wealth. Then the Songhai Empire rose to challenge Mali's dominance. But the real death knell? European coastal trade routes bypassed the Sahara, making Timbuktu irrelevant. By the 1600s, Mali was a shadow of itself, its legacy buried under colonial lies that Africa had no history of greatness. Next, the Songhai Empire, the scholarly superpower. While Europe was in the Dark Ages, the Songhai Empire had one of the world's first universities, with over 25,000 students. Their military was unstoppable, their trade networks vast. Yet, their story was buried. Why? Under Askia the Great, Songhai became a center of learning, law, and commerce. The Sankore University in Timbuktu produced groundbreaking work in astronomy, medicine, and mathematics. Their army, equipped with cavalry and naval fleets, controlled trade routes spanning the Sahara. But when European colonizers arrived centuries later, they dismissed these achievements as myths. The question is, if Songhai was so insignificant, why did they work so hard to erase it? Why did Songhai disappear? Songhai fell victim to technology and greed. In 1591, Moroccan invaders with gunpowder weapons crushed Songhai's army, which still relied on swords and spears. But the Moroccans couldn't hold the empire it fractured into smaller states. Then came the transatlantic slave trade, which destabilized the region further. Europe's colonization finished the job, ensuring Songhai's story was rewritten as a primitive culture. At number 4, we have the Kingdom of Axum, Africa's lost global trade giant. This kingdom was so influential, it minted its own coins found as far away as India. Axum was one of the four great powers of the ancient world, alongside Rome, Persia, and China. So why isn't it in your history books? Axum's navy dominated the Red Sea, and its merchants traded with empires from Rome to India. They even conquered parts of Arabia. The Axumites were among the first to adopt Christianity, building towering obelisks that still stand today. But when European powers divided Africa in the 19th century, Axum's legacy was reduced to a local tribe. The real reason? Admitting Axum's global power would shatter the colonial narrative of African backwardness. Why did Axum disappear? Axum's decline was a slow burn. Climate change shifted trade routes away from the Red Sea, starving the kingdom of income. Then, the rise of Islam isolated Christian Axum from its former Arab trading partners. By the 10th century, Axum had faded, its people retreated inland, forming what would become Ethiopia. But European colonizers later ignored Axum's golden age, labeling Ethiopia as the only civilized African nation, erasing Axum's broader legacy. The last kingdom on our list is the Great Zimbabwe, the stone city that defied logic. A massive stone city built without mortar, standing for centuries proof of an advanced civilization. But colonial explorers refused to believe Africans built it, inventing wild myths instead. What are they hiding? Great Zimbabwe was the heart of a kingdom that traded gold and ivory with China and the Middle East. Its walls, 36 feet tall in some places, were engineered with precision that baffled Europeans. Instead of crediting Africans, they claimed it was built by the biblical Queen of Sheba, or even aliens. The truth: Great Zimbabwe was a thriving African metropolis, and its erasure was deliberate, because if Africans could build this, what else were they capable of? Why did Great Zimbabwe disappear? The city's abandonment is still debated, but evidence points to ecological collapse. Overpopulation and overgrazing depleted the land, forcing people to leave. Then, Portuguese interference in the 16th century disrupted gold trade networks. By the time colonizers arrived, Great Zimbabwe was empty, a ghost city they couldn't believe Africans built. So they invented fantasies to deny the truth, that Africa had architectural geniuses long before Europe's cathedrals. These kingdoms didn't just decline, they were sabotaged by climate shifts, foreign invasions, and most crucially, European erasure. Their stories were buried because they disproved the racist myth that Africa had no history before colonialism. But now, you know the truth. Which of these kingdoms shocked you the most? Drop a comment below, and if you're tired of missing hidden history, hit subscribe because we're just getting started. Share this video, let's rewrite the narrative together.